Come. Oh, there you are. It finally went live on the SideQuest. Oh, we are joined by a new friend. I'm Dolly. That's Taylor, and that on Taylor's lap is who's that on your lap there?
This is Yuki. He's shedding a lot because there's thunder, and
Yuki's a good
they
boy.
get a little
Aw,
sheddy when they get nervous.
love
And
it, love it. Aw, adorable. Good,
he's
good form, Yuki. Good form.
well, yeah, he's staring at the window because
Yeah.
he knows where the sound is coming from.
Aw.
He won't
How,
he
how's
won't he's not taking his eyes off of it.
how's
What do you say?
Yuki in like fireworks and stuff?
Fireworks, he's usually okay. He gets a
Yeah.
little,
Okay.
sometimes he'll get a little bit let me hide under your legs, but
Gotcha.
this is actually worse than July 4th was.
It's pretty nasty, right? The weather has just been wild. You're getting what we had a couple nights ago, which was atrocious thunderstorms. I think they're finally starting to um, head out, clear out towards your way.
Brother, we need the fucking rain so bad. It's
Yeah, I
crazy.
know, I know. I hear you. My lawn is going crazy. My cukes are doing good in my garden. I was gone for 10 days. Um, my parents watered my garden once, and my mother-in-law watered my yard once. When we left, we just had tiny little cucumber plants, and our tomato plants. The two tomato plants were just starting to get like maybe 14 to 16 inches. Brother, we came back, and tomato plant. The one was taller than me, and loaded with tomatoes, and that's the beefsteak ones, the hybridized, or the, not the, what do they call it, the heirloom ones that we've been kind of working on. And then the other one is cherry tomatoes, and that one's almost my height. I'm like, what happened over the last like 10 days? And I've already picked three or four like 14-inch cucumbers that just popped up out of nowhere.
Yeah,
So
I picked 3
take it.
like last week, and
Yeah, yeah.
then I went back, checked it on over the weekend. I was like,
Okay.
okay, 3 more, I guess. And they're just like, holy shit, we went from no cucumbers to too many cucumbers in 4 days. So
It feels good. I gotta tell you, because I like the little bit of self sufficiency that you can have by having a garden is really nice, because it's like, you know what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do for dinner? All right, well I can grill up a steak, or we got some leftover tenderloin or something. And what are we gonna do for veggies? Let me just walk over to the garden and see what we got fresh, and just pull something out of there. So it
it's
was very
nice.
good.
I can't wait. I know. I can't wait for the tomatoes.
Dude, yeah, mine aren't ready yet. They're still green. They got to get more sunlight, obviously, and they're kind of tucked in a corner where they're not corner, but they're so thick with leaves that they're kind of tipping over. It's just such a massive freaking tomato plant, that not enough sun gets into like the inner
Yeah.
tomatoes. So I've been pruning like crazy, but yeah, it's worth it. It's good. It is good. Yeah. So I mentioned I was gone for 9 days, 10 days. Uh, and the reason was, and I wanted to get into this story real quick, but before I do that, how's your summer been going besides the storms and the puppy?
Work. Same
Man.
old shit, man.
Yeah.
I don't have some. I wish I had some like grand revelation. They're like I have such a minimal banter. It's like
Sure. No.
other than the routine of life.
Yeah, man.
I don't. I feel like I have no grand takeaways.
Okay.
It's just
Okay.
I don't know. She's just fly
Okay.
by this summer. It's crazy.
Dude,
Well,
this summer has been flying by. Totally been flying by. Yeah. I hear you. Like, it seems like my daughter got out of school, and then we were prepping for our trip, which we just came back from, and I'll talk about it in a second, because there's one thing I want to talk about. And then we're like midway through July already, and it's like, God Almighty, just flying
right.
by.
Yeah, my wife was talking. It's like, yo, it's August in like 10 days.
Yeah. Oh, it's freaking terrifying. What I wanted to mention. So I went on this trip to Italy. We'd never been to Italy, and I figured let's do it. We actually wanted to go to France first, and see Paris and see the Louvre, and kind of check out a couple spots in France. And then we realized, oh wait, the Olympics are happening this year. Probably gonna get pretty expensive. And yeah, it was very expensive in France for everything. Flights were like coming up on $2,000 a person, and fam, I don't have as many miles to pay for everybody. I can only cover myself mileage wise. Hotels were nutso, and we figured, let's hold off on Paris this year and do number 2, Italy, our second choice. There were number 2s taken here, but we did Italy. Enjoyed Italy, fantastic. And I have a couple funny stories. We were in Rome, Florence, and Venice, and I played a lot of Switch. And the reason I bring my Switch instead of bringing my Steam Deck is Steam Decks, at least for me, it's bulky enough where it's difficult to take in and out of my backpack or my bag when I'm in the plane and trying to get it out and fish everything out. And the battery doesn't quite last as long. And I have the OG Steam Deck, so it's just bulky enough where it's kind of out of my range. I play it at home, and I'll take it, when I'm around, I'll take it leave it in my car, or take it to the office and play at lunch sometimes. But on a flight, it's a little bit more difficult. So I had the Switch with me, and traveling and playing with the Switch. I didn't get a chance to play too much because you're out traveling, you're enjoying the town. But I did engage in conversations about games with when we were in Florence. We went on a tour of one of we did kind of an all-day tour of Tuscany and some of the places in Pisa and some of the places around Florence. And our tour guide started off the tour by saying, "Hi, my name is Davide, and I'm going to take you on a tour of every place that's featured in the Assassin's Creed trilogy with Ezio." And I was like, "Yeah, this is going to be awesome." So he kind of started off by relaying some of the info for some of the cool places that Ezio was in. And I'm like, all right, I hadn't played the Assassin. I'd never played was it Brotherhood and whatever the last one was. I never played those. I thought I should probably play those. So I'm sure I have them on Xbox Games with Gold Live or whatever that was.
Yeah, I don't even remember what I played. I know that I played all of the Assassin's Creed 2 games.
Okay, yeah, that's what they were. The
Ezio
trilogy. I don't know. Yeah.
And I don't remember what I played them on at this point, because that was still back in the 360 days, which
it may have been 360 because that's where they were known for, was the 360, right?
Yes, primarily because that was when 360 was the leader. I can't remember if I did it there on PC, but I know that I have tried to play other Assassin's Creed games since then and have been unable to.
Oh, interesting.
No, just they're so fucking boring, man. I can't.
They are. Oh,
I
totally,
can't do it.
Totally.
I can't do it.
I own them. I own a bunch, but I haven't I've gotten them through Xbox Live or PlayStation Plus or whatever, and I just haven't been able to. I even picked up, what was the Viking one? I don't remember.
Valhalla.
Valhalla, is that what it was? Yeah, I picked that up. It's still in the wrapper. I did get it for $8.99, so I'm not really hurting. But yeah, it's just pretty funny. Let's see if I can check on Xbox.com of which Assassin's Creed games I own. Anywho, so that was pretty cool because we did get to see a lot of the stuff from Assassin's Creed 2 and everything there. We go to Venice, so we're in Venice and hanging out there. And the last night one of the couple nights, I should say, we were there. We walked past a shirt store. My daughter wanted to kind of take a look at these. They had some geek style shirts in one of the shops there. So we're walking through, walk in, start taking a look. And I'm telling them, here's some anime shirts. There's a lot of anime shirts and a bunch of other things. And, we're kind of looking at that stuff. And then the owner or the worker there, his name is Kevin, comes over to me and, we're kind of looking at the different shirts. He was asking me if there's any specific ones. And I jokingly brought up, I don't see any Pokemon or Magic the Gathering shirts, just kind of kidding. Or I don't know what's worth the conversation. He went off on a half-hour tirade about how he has been banned from being able to play Magic the Gathering locally because of his card decks. And he just went into, not a tirade, but he had a really cool conversation with me about Magic the Gathering.
Interesting.
Well, this is the best part. Magic the Gathering and Pokemon cards and tournaments and all that kind of stuff locally. And I asked him if they sold any cards or games in Venice. He goes, absolutely not. And then he's telling me about his different cards and Pokemon card packs and his mains and his sets. I'm just finally I get done. I've been like trying to say, yeah, my wife and daughter are ready to go. They're out there waiting for me. I got to go. It was nice to meet you. I'll come back tomorrow. I walk out and my wife was like, man, you made friends with them. I mean, friends with the guy. And my daughter was funny. She said something to the point of, man, you guys just like went all in on the Pokemon and the Magic the Gathering show. She goes, what did you guys talk about? And I turned to them both. I'm like, I have no idea what he was talking about. I just kept nodding my head saying, oh yeah, oh really? Oh, Bulbasaur, yeah, Charizard, yeah, that's Charlevoix, Cadillac. I don't even know the names of a lot of the Pokemon. It's just really funny. But yeah, apparently it's still pretty popular over there. But then the best part was the best gaming note that I have was on the flight back, flew from Venice to JFK, which I don't like JFK airport. It's kind of a mess. I don't think a lot of people do. Flying back, so it's me in the window seat because I always gotta get the window seat, and then some dude sitting in the seat next to me. Some old, I don't want to say an older gentleman, but someone who's older than me, and I'm in my mid 40s. I'm guessing he's probably in his early to mid 50s. And I'm like, when I'm on a flight, like I'm cognizant of how bright I have my gaming screens. On the flight to Europe, I had my family in the aisle with me, or no, they were in the aisle in front of me. Everything was fine. I was kind of by myself in my aisle, so I didn't worry about how bright it was. On the flight back, it was a little bit darker in there because all the shades were drawn because it's so hot, and they draw the shades down to keep the temperature down. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to start up the switch. I forgot to turn the light down. I'm gonna blind some folks here. I'm gonna blind this dude next to me. And so I'm like contemplating and like, should I start my switch or not? And all of a sudden this blinding light comes from like the corner of my eye. And I look over and my guy has a Steam Deck down low, and he's kind of holding the Steam Deck down and playing Resident Evil 4. And I'm looking over his shoulder. I'm like, that's kind of badass, because there was no way that was going to fit on his lap. So he had to kind of keep it down low.
Jesus.
And I'm looking at him, watching him. He's not watching me, but I'm like watching him play. And I forget one of the female characters that he was playing as, but I'm like watching him play. And he had been trying to log online for the longest time, like through Wi-Fi. But bro, you got to pay for it. It's expensive on some of these flights. And so, but he's playing, and he keeps like, he played for maybe like 10 minutes, and then he turned to me because he saw me kind of like watching him. He's like, do you mind if I use the plug? Because my battery's about to die. I'm like, bro, just go ahead, plug yourself in. So he was plugged in the whole time to play the game. But we were chatting about RE4 and the Steam, and highlight the Steam Deck. He goes, yeah, it's really good. He's like, I really like he's like that and my PS5 are like my main gaming things. He's like, I really only played, I bought a PS5 for Resident Evil 4, and that's all I played on that. And he said, now I have it on Steam Deck, so I haven't really touched my PS5 anymore. All right, so yeah, he was like scrolling through some of his games, and we were kind of chatting a little bit. I'm like, yeah, we, made a little bond with the person sitting in the seat next to me, and I was playing Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door or something. But did not expect somebody to have.
I don't think. Yeah, I mean, I granted I don't travel very much,
Sure.
But
it's very rare that I see
other than at like a convention. I don't think I actually have literally ever seen any other person with a Steam Deck.
Sure.
Outside.
Yeah. So
it would help if I went outside, though.
If you went outside, avoid the outdoors. But it's pretty funny because as we're kind of talking about games, he's like, we're both talking about how gaming on planes and how what we do. I'm like, yeah, I could never, I'm like I have to do a portable device. I couldn't do VR or anything. I'm like, Steam Deck is probably my limit. And it's only if I had the space. As I'm looking at him, I kind of look across the aisle, and there's some dude playing Baldur's Gate 3 on a Microsoft Surface. They got the thing opened up. He's got a key, like a big, like, crazy looking like mouse pad key, not even a keyboard, just like a touchpad and mouse, and like he's got like 4 keys on top. And I'm like, all right, this is a gamer's plane. I'm like, I feel pretty good coming out of Venice back to the US. So yeah, games, universal language, man. Universal language.
Glad you could find somebody to finally relate to.
Yeah, finally, because not in my family. We have a couple little bits of news that I wanted to go over. I think one of the weird ones right now. I got a couple Xbox stories. One is the kind of the bigger Xbox story, and the other one is kind of a fun one. I think the fun one you and I will both appreciate because we're oldies. But Xbox price increases for Game Pass with a new tier that no longer has the day one releases, and we have reached the point now. So Game Pass Standard is $14.99 a month, which used to be Game Pass Ultimate's price. I think people it was like somewhere around there. Right? It was like $14.99 a month, but that does not have. It's basically Game Pass Core multiplayer, but not no day one releases. So you're if you want to get your Avowed, you're gonna have to bump up to the Game Pass Ultimate.
Don't you?
And don't you want to get Avowed?
I mean, it's very funny that they say this because like it just opens up so easily to the retorts of like don't you need day one releases to care about for this to be something to worry about?
Yep.
Which because have they had one since Halo Infinite?
Right.
I mean, I guess technically it would have been like I'm literally trying to think. Forza, I guess, came after
Forza, Starfield, and Forza.
Starfield would okay. There we go. Starfield's a big one.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. But I don't know.
I think the biggest thing to me here is actually Game Pass Core going from 60 to 75. Because Game Pass Core is basically Xbox Live.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. That's what's required to be able to play online in the Xbox universe.
The ecosystem.
And so I mean it's the biggest. It's like the only price increase since like 2000. And when was the last time Xbox Live got a price increase for a year?
Xbox Live or Game Pass? I don't know. Xbox Live, I don't remember.
That's what I'm saying. Xbox Live, like a 1 year was $60.
Yeah.
It was like
it was great.
Always $60.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. It's like what we're seeing here is really because obviously the name was phased out and moved over to Game Pass Core, but like as what my recollection is that Xbox Live Gold always cost $60 a year.
Right.
Xbox Live Gold
increases
pricing. Oh, hold on. I think I need to take a break. Talk about this for a minute.
Yeah. So it's interesting to me as he's checking on that. The other aspect is that Game Pass Ultimate went from basically $3 extra a month, which is, if my math is correct, $36 extra a year. But they don't sell it yearly. It's still a month-to-month subscription, which to me is kind of crappy. I mean, there used to be, I think, when Ultimate launched, there used to be like some fun pricing there, and then there was like the $1 a month or whatever that was. But and PC Game Pass is from $10 to $12. That's probably the best price you can get. But Game Pass doesn't include PC Game Pass doesn't include the streaming aspect. Ultimate includes the streaming stuff. So they have like essentially 4 tiers there now. It's a lot of tiers for people to manage when they're looking at, if you're into Game Pass, what do you angle towards? Do you want new games? I would assume you want those newest games. I mean, that's the whole reason for Game Pass. It's nice to have those rotating games every once in a while, but at this point, a lot of those, I mean, all the games release on every platform. Unless you're doing exclusives, it's, to me, becomes a little bit difficult to justify it. I may want to buy like what's the was it Kunitsuyama? I think I forget the name of it. I'm sorry. I previewed it at the Summer Game Fest, but it's that new Capcom jam, the Tower Defense Capcom jam. It's coming out on Game Pass day and date tomorrow and Thursday, something like that. I could get that on PC. I could get that on PS5. But how much does a game like that entice me to get to get Game Pass, right? Is that enough of a game? I think there was, in order to get the EA games, the sports games, you have to have the EA Play, which is you don't get the stuff day and date. You just kind of get the back catalog with this unless you're paying extra. So there are a lot of layers to this that need to be worked out, and I think it makes it a little difficult for me now. That's extra $3 a month, basically going from $16.99 Ultimate to from 17 to $20 a month. That's my breaking point, because if Xbox pushes out four new games a year, which seems to be their cadence right now, four big AAA games this coming year, that's $60 every 3 months, and that's 12 months a year is 4 games. So, but I don't necessarily know if I want all those games. So it's
that's been the crux of the problem, right?
It has been, and now the price
they couldn't. It didn't really deliver.
It didn't. And like I said,
their alternative offerings are pretty good, but not like.
I mean, they're not, and that's kind of the point I was trying to make, was that I wasn't vocalizing well enough. Is that are those games like the new Capcom Tower Defense game or some indie games, are those enough to keep me engaged, to keep me subscribing? Or am I going to subscribe when a big Xbox game comes out and say, I'm going to put my $20 down for this month because I know such and such game is coming out, and then I'll play that game, and I'll play those other indies and those other games that I want, and then I'll let it lax until the next big game comes out.
I think I literally did that with.
It's probably the way to do it.
I think I did that with EA's thing to play Jedi Survivor.
Yeah. Well, I brought that up too. Yeah,
it's a 50. If you can beat a game in a month, well, I mean that's a $15 game then.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And it's difficult to justify a lot of stuff. I was talking about with friends about, we have Comcast, and Comcast and a lot of the other ISPs, your rates go up the longer you're with them, but new subscribers have the lowest rate. So it's like, shouldn't it be the other way around, where the longer you're with with something,
they absorbed so much of the telecom model of business. And that's very strange. I did do some little fact find.
Okay.
Gold launched at $50 a year.
Oh yeah, so it's only gone up once.
And then it went up from $50 to $60 in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jake.
Smart Jake. Yeah.
Literally, I did that. I think I did. I'm saying I did the same thing, except I beat all of Jedi Survivor.
Nice.
But yeah, so I mean, the last time they increased the price of what was Xbox Live Gold was 14 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that part is as crazy as just the constant name changes.
Yeah.
And the overcomplication of what
I think that's what it is. Yeah.
I'm surprised. I don't know. I thought that the branding around Gold was good, but maybe they found that it was too confusing trying to coalesce around Game Pass, and you only want one horse in the race.
I feel like we're a half step away from, because they're now really coming to be on par with what the streaming services are doing. With Netflix has those 2-3 tiers, Disney has a couple tiers, Hulu has a couple tiers. They have the even Amazon, right? Because Amazon now you have to pay the extra $3 or $5 a month or whatever it is to not have ads. When they didn't have ads before, and now they gave me free ads. The reverse should be if you pay less, whatever.
Well, this is the reality of
we're half step away from having Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo. I don't know if Nintendo did, but Xbox. These game streaming services say, all right, you're going to have ads in between, in certain areas of the games. I mean, that may be a part of it. Maybe the games are going to be developed with green screen portions.
It would not surprise me. It's certainly more likely to happen at a Microsoft-owned studio than anywhere else.
Integrate it.
The reason why that this happens, in case there's any one of the two people watching this,
and they're both Jake.
Yeah, they're both Jake. And the reason why that this typically is the way that it goes especially in the last like 8 years, is that these products are delivered
Sure.
already at a loss.
Yes.
All of them,
Correct.
all of them. So what they're done is they're driven at a super low introductory price, maintained for as long as possible, so long as the business and the executives are willing to tolerate it.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, this applies for Game Pass, it applies for Netflix, it applies for Hulu, it applies for all of these things. And then eventually, when they either hit a certain number of subscribers where they want to pivot, or they hit a certain amount of revenue loss
Yeah.
where they can no longer stomach it, is when they pivot to either changing the tier to include a tier where they can introduce more revenue, such as
Yep.
introducing advertisements in what was previously a free subscription. That's what Amazon Prime Video did.
Yep.
Or where Netflix added additional tiers for increased fidelity,
Mm-hmm.
for their videos, and for Game Pass, where they just were like, we got to raise the prices. One thing that they did add, did you see the news about with GE Force?
Yes, I was
Game
actually
Pass?
going to talk about that right now too. Yeah, so go ahead and yeah.
No, you go. I
No,
just wanted to make sure I didn't forget.
no,
I don't know
Sony.
what the
I'm
details
sorry.
are. I just know that I think that you can launch it in GE Force now, or like the Xbox
Yeah,
stream.
so when
Like,
you go through the Xbox website and play online, you can now launch it. You can launch either the Xbox Cloud version or the GeForce version, depending on if you have if you're, you own the game or whatever. I forget what the link is to GeForce. So it's a way to offer up a few other methods of streaming, and it's going to help because obviously another aspect is Microsoft is now all in on the streaming stick with Amazon. Like they really are pushing it, right? And it's a Prime Day deal.
there was the
Like one of their
bundle,
major Prime Day, the
a
bundle,
bundle.
yeah.
I
So
can't believe that they
yeah,
abandoned their own thing for it.
I can't
I mean, I
believe it, but
can't.
then at the same
Listen,
time,
it's one of those
it's
things of
kind of
like I can't believe it, and I say that like semi-rhetorically of
right.
like, of course I can believe it. You're watching literally the market develop around you, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, we're already now 8 months late to a segment that
Yep.
other people are dominating. Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And so I get it, but like, I don't know. You're just getting so fucking beat down in hardware
Mhm.
segment on the hardware segment that like I don't know. I would be desperate to have any win. I feel
I
like
think like, and
there'd just
we've
be a way
joked
to
about
sell
it. Yeah.
controllers.
Yeah.
Really, like the bundle
Yep.
is a streaming stick and a controller. I mean, obviously
Right.
they kind of outsource this with the Prime Day bundle where it's buy a Fire Stick instead. But at the same time, I get it because anything that they release, like let's say it was just gaming focused,
Mhm.
the thing would get fucking railed. Be
Yeah.
like, all right, where's the multimedia function? Why am
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
buying this?
Yep.
I don't want to. I
Exactly.
don't.
That's
TV
likely what actually held it up. That's likely what
TVs are coming with 2 or 3 HDMI's only. I'm not going to dedicate one of them to a stick that only does game streaming
Sure.
for Xbox games. So they were either going
Yeah.
to
I'd
try
rather
and
buy the Xbox hardware in that case.
yeah, I mean, at
Yeah.
least that thing can run all the apps, right?
Yeah.
And so I do get it, but like I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm just that desperate for them to figure out something
Sure. Same.
that
Yeah.
works because man, they are fucking down.
I feel like there are a couple things. One is they can put out, when they do these bundles, and I have a feeling you're going to see these bundles this year, pretty big time around the holidays. They'll really be pushing this kind of bundle, and it's fine. In fact, we talked about it like 3 years ago. That an Xbox bundle with a controller and a streaming stick is probably the smart thing to do to get the streaming stuff going. But I could see them pushing, you push that bundle, but you can also say, by the way, this Amazon stick has so many, has 32 gigs of memory, and you get Halo on there automatically download or whatever. This is the Call of Duty stick that you get automatically have Call of Duty downloaded on there. You don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. So I kind of see them doing some themed ones that way. Maybe the only way to get the Call of Duty themed controller is to get the stick with the
Ain't gonna
streaming. I
happen.
mean,
No,
you'll
they're not
have
gonna.
people. Yeah, but you'll have people, potentially. Maybe, I
No,
don't know.
they'd rather sell console bundles for that shit. But
That's correct. That's correct. The avowed controller. I'm sorry,
the
the
avowed
avowed
controller, yeah.
But the other aspect, and and Jake's message mentioned here already on some of that stuff. But we brought it up in the Discord. 1 versus 100. You had those types of.
Dude,
You
I
had
can't believe they still have.
Remember the movie viewing stuff and the gaming.
Doesn't it feel like that would be like the
God.
easiest win of the century to bring back? I don't get it. Nobody's had. I mean, I'm sure somebody's had the idea, but like, why didn't anybody do
right,
it?
Right. The closest, it feels like the closest thing out of all of those, and I hate to say it this way, but it's like Nintendo when they do their themed like Tetris stuff. It's like, hey, this weekend, everybody who plays our Tetris game gets a theme, and then everybody plays for like the 20 minutes it takes to get this Tetris. But whatever, it's engagement. You want the community there, and Xbox was fantastic for that kind. I watched movies with friends through Netflix on Xbox all the time. We played games, maybe even with you and with other folks. I think we played Mortal Kombat, where we waited in the. We would watch our friends play Mortal Kombat, and we were waiting in, the whole quarter. It's almost like leaving the quarters on the screen back in the old days. That stuff was great. That was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, what happened is that the Discord happened for a big part of it.
True. Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm not gonna, and this is, as you pointed out, nobody's doing it because everyone's like, they don't have realistically the bandwidth or the resources to do it.
Yeah, maybe.
And if they did, okay, it flops, and then everything's so fucking cutthroat that it's like, why did it just, they don't get repeated.
Sure,
we're not going to see them again. The internet just kind of have what it feels like it's changed too much, where no console manufacturer is going to do that again. Right. I don't think.
Yeah,
I think we're probably just past it.
Yeah, there was an era of just really cool social stuff on gaming platforms, and it's all disappeared. Yeah, we'll have to do like a special edition of the podcast one day where we just talk about some of our favorite social gaming things on it. But there was some actual good Xbox news, or fun Xbox news, and it's this: the blades are back, baby.
Yeah. This one makes sense. I mean, I guess it's like because the Xbox marketplace is about to shut down for 360.
Yes,
and so this is kind of like the their ode to it. It makes sense.
I think it's fun. I mean, it's not fully functional, just the background, right? It's a dynamic background. It's not like you're changing your UI. That would be a lot of work to do. But
a lot of work that they should have done.
Yeah. But it's just kind of fun to relive the glory days of the Xbox brand when 360 was what literally all of us were on at the time, at least in the US, and what set Xbox apart in the world of technology. So yeah, I just thought it was cool that we're getting just a fun little background that we can, I don't know if they have the image there, but a little background that we can download and use and have fun with. But there is actually one little bit of Xbox news, maybe not Xbox fully, but more Xbox adjacent. So Xbox owns a studio named Bethesda. Bethesda makes a game called Fallout, and Fallout had a TV show, and that TV show just earned 16 Emmy nominations for all the phenomenal work. It was a great show. Loved season 1. Season 2 is already well underway in development. But yeah, awesome. I mean, Walton Goggins got nominated for Best Actor in a Drama, which is fantastic. So yeah, I think it was kind of cool that Fallout got a nomination, and it just kind of shows that the shift has happened from, we're in the midst of it happening, going from the comic book themed things to video game themed properties becoming big. Because obviously Mario, you had the Uncharted's, the Sonic the Hedgehog stuff has been kind of creeping in there. Fallout has done huge. Last of Us has done huge. It's going to keep going. There's depictions all over. What is it? Twisted Metal has been really good for Peacock, even though I don't know anybody that's actually watched it. But the properties have done pretty well. So I I think it's right now they're kind of seeing it as a gold mine for development. And hey, when you do it correctly and you do it well and you take the time to do it like this, I think you're going to do really well. And if you do,
I'm curious how true that's gonna be. I'd love to see something like come out about like whether it's a study or a retrospective on how I mean, obviously they're like valuable as a multimedia enterprise.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm interested of like what the genuine feeling from an insider perspective is.
Yeah.
Like, our producers going around talking about it. The stuff like Sony owning distribution wings for television production makes obviously certain barriers of entry particularly easy. And Sony's done 2 of them with Uncharted and with Last of Us. So,
and they've got God of War on the way as well. And, no, I think it's great. I think it's cool. I would love to see be a fly on the wall to understand those conversations that are going on. Like our executives at different places, going, all right, we got to get some game proper. We got to put the chess pieces on the table, and someone's got to get, someone's got to get the Goomba movie. Like, let's get the Goomba movie going. Or, I'm looking around here. We really got to get the whatever. I don't know. I was trying to make a joke, but so we gotta do the Madden. Wait, that's football. No, I'm just kidding.
Nah.
But no, it's a fun time if you're in. This is just the beginning because they are starting to really go into all the different types of properties that are out there. Obviously, there's a Zelda movie coming out. There's Sony has God of War, and they have like 2 other. There's like Ratchet and Clank. I think another Ratchet and Clank thing that they're working on supposedly. So. I think it'd be Portal, and that would be a fantastic TV show to like a Portal mini series would be fantastic to watch. So I think there's some cool things that they can mine. It's gonna be interesting to see what gets mined and what actually works. And then last but not least, Nintendo dropped a teaser last week for emio. Who or what is emio? And it'll set the internet ablaze for like 14 minutes as everybody tried to wonder if it was Bloober Team or Kojima that was making a horror game with Nintendo for the Switch. But no, it's actually Famicom Detective Club, emio, the Smiling Man, Famicom Detective Club. Granted, it's rated R. It's an M-rated game. There's death. There's a murder. There's like dark themes in this. I've never played a Famicom Detective Club game. I know they obviously because they never came to the US. They did re-release a couple games, or the first 2 games. They remade them, and they were out a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. I haven't played them, and because they haven't dropped in price, and I'm not going to drop money on something that I don't know what it is. I'd love to play a demo and understand if it's something that I actually like. I don't think there are demos for it yet, but it is certainly looks extremely dark right here, doesn't it? This is just really dark stuff. But it's kind of a visual novel type of sleuthing that is supposedly pretty popular. The series is pretty popular. So one of the first visual novel types of series that had ever been out was on the NES with this.
It's bizarre what Nintendo's like, I'm going to hype this up.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's coming out.
Like, what are you talking about?
And they're dropping it August 29th. It's like, dog, that's next month. You guys didn't show this anywhere, right? It's a whole new game that you're just dropping, and then adding onto your release schedule. And if they're making physical copies, there's physical releases that are popping out too. So I do find it really interesting that I don't know how much money was put into this. I don't know if it was like a little team that was just kind of having fun with the Famicom Detective Club and said, I think we can make another one pretty quick. Maybe they hit the AI button and created all the images. I have no idea, but
I doubt it.
No, not Nintendo. But it is interesting how I almost wonder if they are sort of emptying out their coffers for stuff that they've been sitting on Yeah, getting the physical. Yep, there you go. Getting the physical release. Unlike the remakes, I'm bummed that the remakes never got a physical release, at least in the U.S. But it does feel like Nintendo's saying we're just gonna start putting everything that's been sitting. We're gonna start just putting it out, man. Just all these games that are all the stuff that we've had done from this to the 3 HD version of Donkey Kong Country Returns, which they'd probably been sitting on for like 4 years. They're just like letting it all. They're airing it all out. Just go ahead, just drop another one. These are easy to pump out, and then people are gonna gobble them up. I'm sure they'll do fine. But yeah, hey, cool, whatever. It's a dark Nintendo game. We don't really get those all that often, but it's also, I don't know if it's my kind of game, but I've never played one, so I don't know. Who knows? But I have played games, and I have one game I want to talk about that I played. And I wasn't able to talk about this until the 26th or 27th of June, and it was after we had recorded our podcast already. And then you guys went ahead and did a podcast while this boy was out, so I didn't get a chance to record. So, and that would be for, let me share the screen here. In fact, I already posted the preview of this, and all I can talk about is a preview. They're very strict on what we can talk about with this game, but SteamWorld Heist 2 is a game that I had a chance to play. I'm just going to play this thing right here. SteamWorld Heist 2, I'm a big SteamWorld Heist fan, and so as I was walking around Summer Game Fest, I didn't even realize it was going to be there, but as I'm walking around Summer Game Fest, I see the SteamWorld Heist booth area, and I'm like, oh, do you guys have any spots available to check it out? And it was kind of later in the day that I asked them, and they said, yeah, come back tomorrow. We have this slot available. I said, all right, cool. So I came back in the morning, and I spent about an hour and 30 minutes at this, and to the point where like their appointments were like a half hour long, and here I am talking to the dev team and having a grand old time about SteamWorld history and SteamWorld Heist and everything about this game. And I had to leave. I had to force myself to leave because we were talking so much about all the intricacies of this game and this series that, like I said, just a fantastic conversation. Anyways, it's a 2D kind of tactical game that, much like the first SteamWorld Heist game, which is a lot of fun, this takes there's a ton of quality of life stuff they've done in this game. So the actual battles they've improved on, in terms of it kind of focuses around your team. Like in the first game, you had each character had very specific play style, very specific weapons, and that was it. It's like, and if you don't like a character, you're kind of stuck with them until you pick up a new character or you switch your team out. In this, they really wanted to allow players the ability to kind of customize your team. So you can pick up a character, and there's like, I forget how many job or classes are. I think there's like 5 or 6 or 7 classes in there, jobs in there. But you can pick up one of the characters who has a couple of their own sort of features and stuff and abilities. But then let's say I choose one character and I have them set up as sort of a melee class type of person, and I build up their melee stuff, and I use their big hammer weapon or whatever, and then I switch later on to a sniper class or whatever. I'll pick up the sniper class. I can actually use some of the abilities that I've opened in the melee class with the sniper in new and unique ways, and there's a lot of like interesting combos that I was figuring out while I was playing. And that's, you can see some of the stuff there, different equipment that you can add in. So that was actually really cool. That aspect of really kind of taking the characters and making them your own is what I found interesting. Because again, in that first game, if you didn't like someone, you probably didn't use them after you only use them during the points that you had to use them. In this, you're really going to kind of develop the characters on the way. Second part is now you can kind of see here, much more of exploration is built in. The first game was basically point-to-point movement on a map, and you're going from one point to the next, one point to the next. And if you screwed up and you felt like you couldn't get very far on the map in space, you would backtrack and kind of replay a bunch of the missions over and over and over again to build up your experience, build up your character, and then go back and try again. In this case, it's set in an ocean. It's pirate themed. And you pilot this sort of submarine vehicle, and there you go. That's got the fog of war and everything. And you're exploring this world, this sort of Caribbean themed world, and taking on pirates and stuff. You can engage in battles on sea, so you can actually pilot your ship and shoot other ships that pop up and take care of, like, I don't know if there's monsters or anything, but I'm sure there's some obstacles out there. And then you can park your ship next to any of the locations, and there's secrets and stuff, and go exploring and do these sort of the actual tactical kind of 2D battle areas. And some of these battle areas, by the way, played a little bit more like platformers rather than just action sequences, rather than just fights. So that was kind of cool. Like you can actually make your way around some of these areas, these hideouts, and these caves and things like that. Pick up loot and take on enemies and go to other parts of the cave. And so it's a little bit more expanded from that standpoint. And there's a ton of characters, ton of places to explore. It's definitely a bigger game than the first one. I think sounded like it's at least like double or triple the size of the first game, because the first game really was very linear in your path, and this kind of lets you go all over the place. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Enjoyed my time with it. Check out the preview I wrote up. A lot more goes into it, but I don't know. Did you ever play the first SteamWorld Heist? No. It's cool. I really and dude, I think it's still on sale somewhere for like $2 or $3. Totally worth picking up.
I'm curious how much the exploration is just a good demo experience versus how it fleshes out when you actually play the game.
So, yes, and I think that is the demo was interesting because they give you sort of a snapshot of the world that you can kind of explore, right? But I wasn't allowed to go under the water. Like in the demo, you're just kind of on the surface layer of this planet doing some exploration stuff. And then, hey, during my time, they said, by the way, you can go under the water. And they showed me clips of them going underwater and taking on underwater enemies, and doing underwater exploration and finding loot and stuff underwater. And then they said, yeah, by the way, this is all just the first area. The planet is actually really big. So I'm curious to see how big it actually is and what the level of exploration is. If it is just go from point to point, find loot, shoot another enemy sub, go to another point, find loot, shoot an enemy sub, go to another point. So I think that's where the hook is really going to be. But I did appreciate in this, at least in the demo that I got my hands on, the battles do kind of shift, and they're sort of multi-layered. So instead of just hopping into a battle and having to clear out a zone of like 6 enemies, you'll clear out a zone of like 6 enemies and then go unlock a chest, and then like a mid-boss will show up, and you have to take on different parts of a mid-boss, and you defeat the mid-boss, and then the other enemies will kind of pop in for like the 3rd layer, and that's your escape out of this area. And oh, by the way, as you're escaping, the loot areas pop up, and you have to get out within like 6 turns, but there's like really cool loot that you may not want to miss. And if you get all the loot, like the major loot in the middle will open up. So there are a lot of like layers and aspects to each of these battles too, to the point where there's sort of like a rating system. It's not like engagement or recognition or whatever, but it's basically like an infamy system. So the more you do in each of these levels, your infamy will go up, and the more you can kind of side with factions and do certain things in these zones and the overworld. So certain things will unlock, different conversations will happen depending on how much you actually do within these. So it's deep. It seems really deep and complex, but it's very understandable and very digestible, because I think that's always the case with the SteamWorld games, is like there's depth to them, but it's not like complexity that will turn people off. Like it really is. Yeah. You'll play right away and you'll get it, and you'll know what it is. And is it good enough where it's just not repetitive? Like, is there actual depth in what you're doing? And the demo, there was the hour and a half that I had to pull myself away from.
I mean, that's the thing, is that like, because I played which one did I play? SteamWorld
Build.
SteamWorld Build.
Yeah.
And like the demo is crazy, and then the game comes out and you're like, yeah, I mean, it's okay.
Yeah.
But it's just they all seem like incredible demo games to me.
Yeah. And they are.
Which is not to say that
Yeah,
it will be bad, because
right.
obviously you're the one that played this one, not me.
Sure. I think they're this type of SteamWorld stuff I think is actually really interesting. I never played Build, so I didn't get a chance to get my hands on that one. But I played Heist and I played Quest. I think was their kind of card battler, collectible card game type of thing. And then SteamWorld Dig 2, which I absolutely love. So I like their 2D stuff a lot more than the Build and some other things. But no, I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to really seeing what the final game will offer. So yeah, I think it comes out in August 8th, 2024. You can see that right there. So yeah, very cool. You have been playing something, and I've been trying to find a video. So you're gonna have to explain it. I don't even know if this video does anything correct, but
I mean, we're starting off good, which is kind of like random Gen Z video editing here, highlighting how Archipelago randomizers work. So yeah, we talked about this. So this is like, I think we're almost on the 1 month exactly since I was over at gallivanting with Mike Bachman, and we were talking about it. But so Archipelago is a large multiplayer randomizer. So
Sure.
there are few you'll probably notice that there are many games being showcased here. Risk of Rain 2, Factorio, Super Mario 64. You got lots of other stuff in there. And basically what it does is it lets you connect all of these games, usually using mods or custom ROMs, to a single server that takes the idea of what a randomizer is. So like, a lot of people, especially Link to the Past, Super Metroid randomizers became very popular, where you would, the locations of items where they usually would be now in random chests in the game. And so the progression would skew, right? And you would, instead of finding your sword in the first chest, it would be like after the third dungeon. You'd have to figure it out, right? So now take that idea, except that instead of it being within that one game that being randomized, it's now in 10, 20, 40 different games. And not just that, but you're not playing them, all of them. Archipelago lets you basically have as many people as you want doing those different games. So I'm on a pretty large Discord server, which is not SideQuesting. No offense to us. Our Discord server is plenty large, but this one's larger. And basically we're running a multi-game Archipelago world. People will do anywhere between 1 to 4 games each, and they're all tossed into the fucking blender. And so your game could be the item that you need to progress in Minecraft could be in Hollow Knight. It could be in Super Mario 64. It could be in A Link to the Past. It could be in Pokemon, and there's a few Pokemon games in there, and so so I'm playing Rogue Legacy 1. I don't think Rogue Legacy 2 is in there, which is a much longer and more complex game. It'd be really cool if it was, because it's more fun. And then Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, which was the Game Boy Advance Mario and Luigi RPG game. And I already beat actually Rogue Legacy. Just kind of stick with it like that. I didn't have dashes. That never got unlocked for me, which is unfortunate, because dashes are like really cool to have in Rogue Legacy. So it was interesting to do that. And Superstar Saga is just a work in progress, along with other things. So basically, as soon as you beat the game, all of the other remaining items that you could have possibly found in your game get released out to the void. It goes to everybody's games like in one fell swoop. But yeah, so you can
That's
play.
cool.
So you can play randomizers alone, which is what this video is showing right here. This guy is playing, 3 different games and swapping back in between them as he gets unlocks certain checks from one game, and then he'll go back to the other one and be like, okay, now I've got the SS ticket. So for instance, like in Pokemon Red Blue, there are certain items that you have to have in order to be able to progress in the story unless you do specific glitches, right?
Right.
So the SSN ticket is one of those things. You can't go, I forget exactly where you go and from where, but you can't progress in the story without it. You can't progress in the story unless you get the HM for cut or the HM for fly you can do it without the HM for flash, but it sucks. But also, other things are randomized, like being able to find Mewtwo in the wild, like the fact that you can, your starter Pokemon could potentially be a Moltres instead of Pikachu, stuff like that. So it is a very interesting way to, I don't know, I guess like relive games that you probably already used
Sure.
to. If you're tired of I've been doing the gaming 9 to 5 for too long. I need my vacation, but I still want to play games. Like this is that kind of neat way to do it. Especially for people that like know everything of, the ins and outs of a game and want to experience it in a new way. This does that in a really cool way.
That's awesome. I love the social aspect that you're kind of mentioning about this.
So it's really fun because you're like, fuck, I'm blocked in this game, and then Archipelago has also this command line interface. Basically where after you've earned a certain amount of what they call checks, right? So after you've found a bunch of items that you send to the server for other players, you earn these checks that you can then be like, I need a hint. I need to know, all right, who's got my SSN ticket?
Okay.
Right. And then the text editor will be, it'll spit it back out to you. It's in so and so's game at this point. And then, everybody goes into the chat. They're like, hey, person, can you get me this? And that person's like, no, I can't because it's blocked behind this person's thing. And just watching that interconnected web of stuff happen is very, very fun.
That is cool.
But yeah, the Archipelago being able to do it instead of your own little personal experience on the randomizer, which is already cool. But to then bring in the social aspect of it really takes it to a very cool next level.
This is what Xbox Game Pass Ultimate Live blah 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 could be, right? Where you have weekly challenges or monthly challenges or whatever, and make them social challenges, or you create a group and you have all your Xbox games. I'll be playing Doom, whatever Dark Ages, and you'll be playing the latest Assassin's Creed game because you love them so much. But I'll need an item from Assassin's Creed. You'll need an item from Doom, but my Doom item is blocked behind Mike Bachman's Worms because he loves Worms. He's been playing Worms again. Honestly,
I think like the first major publisher that manages to get like direct Archipelago integration is going to win, or is going to win something. I don't know. The idea behind it, maybe not even the randomizer portion, but just like the shared experience, and certain things can't happen without the other.
It's an incredible way to, God, you could sell so many games or portions of games or whatever, right? You can I could see a company saying, we're going to put all this in there. And if you get these, like Microsoft does their monthly, like their weekly rewards, like put 3 hours into Halo, score 2 headshots in Call of Duty, land a car upside down in Forza. It's like, okay, cool. And you get 300 Microsoft points. But there's actual depth to this. Like you can't do these without other people. And I know there's, this is definitely something that you want to do with socially. It's going to be difficult to do this alone, but at the same time, I could see I could see somebody, I could see Nintendo saying you got to get this star in this way on Mario 64 on our Nintendo Switch Online app, and then you have to capture a shiny Mewtwo, and you have to do that. I could see companies doing this in interesting ways that can sort of leverage some of the fun hop between games aspect of stuff.
The other cool thing that's come of it is that people are making some really cool kick-ass progress trackers for games. And that was happening not like regardless of Archipelago. But Archipelago, like now a lot of the trackers will also have plugins where they also connect to the Archipelago server. So the tracker will know if one of the items is already gone because you received it from somebody else's game. And they also will tie into the Archipelago emulator that's running, a ROM for instance, for the Game Boy Advance game that I'm playing. And what's really cool is that it also gives you a really fucking spiffy map. Like I've basically got an overworld map. I need it because I don't know where the fuck all the shit is in Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga.
Sure.
Because I last played that game like 20 years ago. And so now I've got these little green check boxes on every time I enter a new zone. It's like, don't forget to smash Luigi's brain so that he can dig up an item over here. And I don't know. The trackers are awesome. They're so good.
That's awesome.
But they also will tell you, like, if you can get to it, it'll be green. If you can't get to it because you don't have a prerequisite item yet, it's red. And it makes all of it like, I don't know. I can't imagine trying to do it without it. The last time we did it, I think I did one game when we were doing it in June. I wasn't officially participating, but somebody just skipped out on their Hollow Knight playthrough, and they were trying to find somebody to do it. And I was like, I played Hollow Knight. I'll do it. And what's funny is that they were already like 3/4 of the way through. So I literally hop into Hollow Knight. The game has not been started, and you're like, all right, here's 80% of the shit for Hollow Knight. And so you're just trying to get stuff, and you're overpowered as hell. But oddly enough, in Hollow Knight, there's one item. You get a tram ticket so that you can traverse very specific zone to zone. And of all the stuff that I had received, I didn't have the fucking tram ticket. So I could not progress in the story until that happened, which was like 4 days later. And that was when I realized that I thought I had beaten Hollow Knight. I had never beaten the actual final boss, but I have now.
Cool.
And but yeah, I don't know. Archipelago is awesome. It's really, really cool.
That's sweet.
I would like that. It's that kind of probably the experience that I'm realistically looking for more so than anything else these days.
Yeah. It's a great way to break up gaming. It feels like it turns it more into an actual game because you have goals. It's
an odd way to think about it, but I mean, like, how do you game a game? And it's like,
how do you game a game? Yeah,
kind of like this.
Yeah. Awesome. Oh, I love it. It seems really cool. So I may actually have to dig into a randomizer and Archipelago.
It's really easy to start because the randomizers are so abundant.
Sure. Yeah. Just looking at these YouTube videos, there's like new randomizer, new mod, new cross game randomizer. I made this. I made that. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, this is awesome. Sweet, man. Archipelago. Anything else, or is that that's what you've been?
God, did I play anything else? Let me pull up the old Steam recently played. I talked about Ember Knights last time. So I don't think so.
Okay.
I did buy during the Steam summer sale. We don't have to talk about it at particularly long length.
Sure.
But I bought where are you? Hold on. 1 second. I want to make sure I get this right. This was a big pack. The Humongous Entertainment Complete Pack.
Huh.
So Humongous Entertainment are
Yeah. I remember that.
they
Yeah.
make the putt games.
Yep.
So putt goes to the zoo, putt goes to the circus, the Freddy Fish games, the Pajama Sam
The stuff we
games.
grew up with. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean for the oldies,
The oldies.
there are some that are not included. I think they were technically behind Backyard Baseball as
Okay.
well, which is what a lot of people know. Big Thinkers is in the anyway. It's just a pack. They have been on a specific quest to like port as many of them as they can to be functional on Windows 10, Windows 11, and onto Steam, obviously, so they can sell them. But yeah, it was on sale, the whole pack, for $50.
Oh,
And
nice.
so I got a daughter. She's 3, going on 4.
Now's the age.
Gonna pray to God that I can teach her how to use a fucking mouse and keyboard. Because let me tell you, so I've shown her Papa Goes to the Zoo, and you should have seen her. I'm like, you got to use the mouse, and she had no fucking idea.
No, wow, okay, yeah. They're used to touch, right? They're touching.
Yeah. So she's just like, I've got her on a laptop that does not have a touchscreen, and she's just sitting there like badgering that thing.
She's only coding at an 11th grade level. Come on, Taylor, you got to get her up. She
ain't coding at no level, dog. Telling you.
Awesome. Sweet. Well, good to hear. Well, she'll hopefully have more time around the last few weeks of summer. I think we're halfway through summer right now, at least the hot part of summer. So yeah, she'll be spending time indoors with you playing games, as my daughter is doing right now. I think she's watching some baking show and playing some games.
That sounds great. I just need to teach my daughter to enjoy watching baking shows instead of Spider-Man and his amazing friends.
Nice.
Please.
With that note, I'm gonna let you go so you can go enjoy Spider-Man and his amazing friends. I'm gonna let everybody know that thanks to Stefan, we now have a friend in Las Vegas. Always good time doing this.
Looking forward to seeing
inside joke. Hop into the Discord, you'll find out. But hop into the Discord, you'll find out that and a lot of things, including our San Diego Comic-Con stuff. That section is hopping as people are trying to keep track of all the parties that are popping around San Diego during Comic-Con. So yeah, hop in there. You can find us. We're always talking about games, always talking about the stuff we're reviewing. There's a bunch of reviews. I think I posted like 15 review codes just in our kind of staff area, and we're all like, the majority of us are like doing 2 or 3 reviews each. It's just nuts right now.
Yeah, that's a slight at me specifically, by the way.
No, you're busy, Sam. Let me rephrase that. JJ has about 48 review codes somehow, and the rest of us have maybe 1 or 2. But yeah, no, it's the pre-fall season, so people are just pumping things out in the summer. Like a lot of the indies are dropped. There's a lot of cool indie games that are dropping, so we get to check a lot of that stuff. So be ready. We're gonna have some reviews going live in the next few weeks here. And I'm gonna go dead in a second. My Cayman Jack strawberry margarita is basically empty here, and I'm gonna fall asleep. Find us sidequesting.com. SideQuesting TV on YouTube and Twitch, or at SideQuesting everywhere else. You can find Taylor at Taylor Bliss in places. You can find me at Dolly Demovsky or as the world champion, because I do like now that these are a little bit more, we can give ourselves, it's a title or whatever on there. So I'm gonna enjoy it. With that said, we'll see you on the next episode of the SideQuest.